Hi everyone, thank you for joining us. Welcome to our virtual picture book party. My name is Melissa and I'll be your host today. This is our fourth and last book recommendation video of 2022. So how this works is we have lots of different presenters from across the library, and they're each going to talk about a few books. You'll see a couple of slides for each book, and we always post a full list online in our catalog. This month, our theme is our favorite titles of 2022. I'm going to have all of our presenters introduce themselves as they talk about their first book. All right, everybody, we'll go ahead and get started. Amika, will you start us off?
Sure. Hi, my name is Amika and I'm a storytime specialist. My first book is Counting to Bananas by Carrie Tillotson. Not only is the text incredibly lively and clever, but the illustrator Estrella Lorenco did an excellent job bringing the concept to life. The tone is lighthearted and giggly throughout. From the beginning, we're introduced to Banana, who is excited to be the star of the show. But as we start counting up by rhyming with fruit, or if not fruit, animals that rhyme with fruit, Banana becomes increasingly frustrated that he has not appeared in the counting so far, and some of the characters in his book aren't even fruit. Of course, there is a narrator he addresses as he points out these frustrations, and the narrator answers back with somewhat unsatisfactory explanations to Banana. However, the written asides only add to the reader's enjoyment. The pacing is energetic as we rhyme and count up, and I found myself looking forward to every page turn. This book makes the themes of counting, rhyming, and fruit vocabulary fun to get into. I look forward to reading it again and again for different storytime themes in the future, and I can see this book being enjoyed on some level by everyone. So thank you, Flamingo Books, for publishing this awesome picture book.
Hey, my name is Elaine and I'm a storytime specialist, and my first book is called and it is written and illustrated by Mary Murphy. This book will be a treat for babies and toddlers. The book takes place in the early morning and throughout the dawn. As we flip through the pages, the sky lightens and more birds welcome the new day, and they say goodbye to the dark in their own unique way. The thrush warbles a good morning, the sparrow chirps, the goose honks, we hear a quack from the duck, and the hen says cluck cluck. Of course, Mary Murphy also makes it a rhyming delight with the animal sounds. So it's a wonderful book to develop phonological awareness, hearing those smaller sounds and words, which will later help them sound out words as they learn to read. If you like this book, try a nonfiction one about identifying birds through their body characteristics, called Birds from Head to Tail by Stacy Roderick, or Identifying Birds Through Their Songs. And that one's called Noisy Bird Sing Along by John Himmelman.
Hi, my name is Mary and I'm an early literacy librarian. And you'll see that my other two books that I'm going to share later are more serious, but I had to include something funny because I love reading funny books aloud. This story, called Too Many Pigs and One Big Bad Wolf, written by David Kali and illustrated by Mariana Balducci, is a very silly take on the familiar Three Little Pigs story that actually teaches a lot about story structure. On each page, an unseen narrator starts a story with, "Once upon a time, there were X number of pigs." Invariably, the narrator will give a small amount of detail, such as that the pigs played soccer for a team called Olympic Bologna or Dynamo Sausage, and end with the wolf eating the pigs. That's it. No plot, no character development, and no action. So the unseen listener, who is all of us, complains that the narrator is not telling a story, because stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end. On each page, a little more description of the pigs happens to hilarious effect, but we never get more of a real story. This is such a fun read aloud, as the reader gets to portray both the narrator and the ever more exasperated listener. The illustrations are created from photos of an abacus, digitally drawn over with detailed pig characters that will be fun for listeners to examine. If you like funny books, you must check this one out.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth, and I'm a storytime specialist. My first book is Blue, A History of the Color as Deep as the Sea and as Wide as the Sky. It's written by Nana Ekua Brew Hammond and illustrated by Daniel Minter. This is a nonfiction book from a promising new author that discusses the history of the color blue. From originally being a color that was only rarely found in nature, to the creation of a chemical blue that made blue accessible to all, this book covers just about everything you might want to know about the color blue. The facts in this book are fascinating and accessible, and I love the diverse, gorgeous illustrations by the Caldecott Honor winner. You can also look at the back of the book for even more information about the color blue. And because this book mentions the enslavement of African peoples, I'd recommend this book for ages 5 to 8.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michelle, and I am a library specialist at our South Glen branch. My first book is ACORN Was a Little Wild by Jen Arena, illustrated by Jessica Gibson. ACORN is a wild little thing with a passion for adventure. They simply cannot wait to leave their tree and to get out into the big wide world. They're the first to jump down to the ground, the first to sass a squirrel, and the first to get planted underground. And that's when things really start to happen. This book is so much fun to read. ACORN's enthusiastic attitude and expressions are perfectly brought to life by Jessica Gibson's joyful and engaging illustrations. Just looking at the pictures is enough to make any reader smile. However, this book also has a wonderful message about resilience and getting through unexpected challenges in life. Change and growth can be scary, but as readers will discover, all you need to get through it is a positive mindset, a willingness to embrace the unknown, and maybe to remain just a little bit wild inside.
Claire wasn't able to join us today, but I have her comments and I'm going to read them for us. Her first pick was I Am Me, a Book of Authenticity by Susan Verde, illustrated by Peter H. Reynolds. Are you looking for a picture book to help encourage your child to embrace their authenticity and love themselves? I have a great suggestion. Check out I Am Me. The author, Susan Verde, encourages us to let our weird, crazy, and different selves out of the shadows and celebrate who we are. The illustrations by Peter Reynolds show us a young girl recognizing that she doesn't always fit in, but also realizing she doesn't have to. She decides to be loud and proud about whoever she wants to be. My favorite quote from the book is, I can embrace that I am perfectly imperfect because that is what makes me interesting. I chose this for the best of 2022 because it has an overarching message that we can all need to hear and remember no matter how old we are. You can find this book at Arapahoe Libraries in our picture book section, Growing Up. I hope you'll check it out the next time you come to see us.
Hey there, I'm Stefan and I'm a Storytime Specialist. And today my first book is Bedtime for Bo. It's written by Kirsty Ansdottir Skumsvold and it is illustrated by Marie Constad Johnson. So in this book, the most patient mom ever slowly goes through a bedroom routine with her super imaginative son. Of course, the New York Times Review says that so much better than I could, so I'm going to quote them. This book offers a masterclass on how to send a rambunctious child to bed with creativity, patience, and good humor. Technically, this book is from 2021, but it was just translated from the Norwegian by Carrie Dixon this year into English. And for whatever reason, illustrations from other countries feel so distinctive to me that I'm always drawn to them. This is a big book, so the scale of the pages immediately makes it way more immersive. And the illustrations themselves are so colorful that honestly, they're almost intense, yet deeply comforting at the same time. This kid has so many stuffed animals and they're all on almost every page. As a Storytime Specialist, it's so satisfying when a picture book is just one's taste, and this one is mine. As a bedtime story, it's quiet and sleepy, but it also features an amazing adult who is a co-collaborator with her kid. The mom in the story is modeling some super dynamic, but very gentle and creative, imaginative play. So please check this one out.
Hi, I'm Erin, Children's and Family Services Lead. My first book is Don't Eat Bees, Life Lessons from Chip the Dog by Dev Petty and illustrated by Mike Bolt. Chip lets you know how smart he is from the start. I'm a smart dog. I'm only 7, but that's practically 50 in person years. So I already know several important dog things. He imparts his wisdom on wonderful things to eat. Grandpa's teeth, a whole turkey snatched from the table, important papers, and the list goes on. However, Chip also notes that there are some things you should avoid. Lemons, lit candles, and bees. Do not eat bees. Kids will love Chip's complete lack of self-control and will laugh at his funny observations of cats. Be sure to check out the back of the book jacket to see how Chip divides his meal choices into appetizers, entrees, and desserts. A humorous choice for kids and kids at heart.
Namaste, I am Madhavi. I am a storytime specialist. My first book is Ani Dreams of Biryani. Written by Namita Mulani Mehra and illustrated by Chaya Prabhat, this book is recommended for ages 5 and above. Actually, this book is full of colors and flavors and suitable for everyone who is a food lover like me. Ani lives with her ma and grandma on a busy street in Little India. Her highlight of the week is Friday evening when she gets to eat biryani cooked in the Biryani Cafe located opposite her apartment building. The cafe is run by old Mr. Arif, affectionately called as Uncle. Uncle's biryani, a one-pot dish made of whole spices, rice, meat, vegetables, garnished with saffron soaked in milk, fried onions, mint, and dry fruits, was the best biryani in the whole world. Ani loved cooking and wanted to excel in making biryani like Uncle did. She dreamed of opening a cafe one day. Now, Mr. Arif was a grumpy old man and was not easily approachable. Patiently, little by little, she learns the recipe. To learn more about what happened and how the story cooks, read the book. This book teaches that growth mindset, persistence, and willingness to try are the keys to excel. The illustrations are deliciously beautiful, and I love how the text is sprinkled in between pictures. Thank you.
Hi, I'm the other Elizabeth, and I'm also a storytime specialist. My first book is Hot Dog. When you're too hot and everything is too much, sometimes all you need is a stretch of sand and open sky to bring you back to yourself. In this almost wordless picture book, Hot Dog author-illustrator Doug Salati has masterfully created a full sensory experience, verging on sensory overload. We empathize with the poor dog as it trudges through the very hot city with loud sirens and too many people feet. Its owner realizes her dog has had enough, and she takes it to the beach for the day. We can sense the relief of the sea breeze brings and can almost smell the salty air as the dog and owner both enjoy the change in scenery. I personally enjoyed all the small details in this book, the owner's kitchen, what she has for dinner, for example, and feel they add to the pure authenticity of this tour of city and beach. There's quite a bit of buzz surrounding this title, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if the cute summertime doggy book is mentioned next January when the Caldecott Awards are announced.
My second pick is What Feelings Do When No One Is Looking. Originally written by Tina Oziewicz and published in Polish in 2020, it has since been translated by Jennifer Croft into English and republished by Elsewhere Editions this year. This book feels like a hug. Every spread is illustrated in a muted palette with whimsical creatures literally illustrating its labeled emotion. For example, curiosity always climbs as high as possible to the treetop, the roof, or the chimney. Compassion helps snail cross sidewalks. Bliss sits in a nice chair with a cup of tea in its paws. There are examples of feelings we use all the time, like joy, anger, excitement, and sadness, and more nuanced emotional vocabulary that may help little ones understand the jitters, nostalgia, pride, and longing. Obviously, the wealth of human emotions would be hard to pack into a children's book, but this book manages to cover 30 of them. The hardback version is about 8 by 10 and it feels thicker than the average picture book, but the pages are unencumbered by unneeded details. Most time there's just a sentence and the spot-on illustration accomplished by illustrator Alexandra Zajac. I wish this book had come out when my son was young so we could snuggle together and slowly turn the pages and talk, and he would have had more emotional vocabulary when I'd inevitably say, "Use your words." This book might not grab your attention from the shelves because the cover doesn't use loud colors or exaggerated font. But now that you know it's there, you can look for it.
Ah, this book had me in giggles, and I think 3 to 5-year-olds are gonna love it. I can't wait to read it for story time, and it's called Ice Cream Face, written and illustrated by Heidi Woodward Sheffields. Children experience such great big feelings with everyday adventures, and this book recounts one adventure that most of us know, the joy and tribulations of waiting for ice cream. We see through the eyes of a little boy with some fantastic facial expressions. He shares his frustration of waiting in line, the consternation of seeing others get their ice cream before him, the consequences of eating an ice cream too quickly, brain freeze, and of course the camaraderie of hanging out with friends to enjoy a well-deserved treat. Ah, bliss, what a roller coaster of emotions. I love how the author uses so many textures in her illustrations and showcases the range of emotions on his face and names the facial expressions on the faces too, like brain freeze face, the nose licker face, the side swiper, the bearded lady face, and lots of other funny ones. She has received numerous awards from the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators for her illustrations, and we can all relate to this tasty, everyday experience.
My second book is Lizzie and the Cloud, written and illustrated by the Fan Brothers. I've always been a fan of the Fan Brothers' art. See what I did there? But for this book, I really love the story that they've written too. This title and my next one, The Boy with Flowers in His Hair, include a fantastical premise treated in a matter-of-fact way. Lizzie goes to the park with her parents one day and buys a pet cloud from the cloud vendor, because of course she does. She names her cloud Milo and takes very good care of it, watering it regularly and taking it for walks. But as expected, the cloud grows and grows and soon becomes a storm in her bedroom, and she realizes it's time to let her cloud go. The Fan Brothers use a muted palette of gray and yellow, which evokes a bright yellow rain slicker on a cloudy day, and the soft drawing style that goes perfectly with the dreamy story. This is a sweet book that you'll want to share over and over, and then maybe adopt your own pet cloud, but don't bring it in the house.
Okay, my next book is Rafa Counts on Papa. It's written and illustrated by Joe Cepeda. I love this math-centric book that also highlights the relationship between a father and his son. Rafa loves to measure how long his toy train is, how far he can run, and how high his dog can jump. But the most important question is how much his papa loves him. This sweet story that focuses on a diverse and relatable family is an absolute winner in my book. And as a bonus, the author won the Pura Belpré Honor Award, and that's an award presented to an author who celebrates the Latino cultural experience. And if you like this book, you can check out other Pura Belpré Award winners. And I would recommend this book for ages 4 to 6.
My second choice is The Mouse Who Carried a House on His Back by Jonathan Stutzman, illustrated by Isabel Arsenault. Vincent is a mouse with boots on his feet, a hat on his head, and a house on his back. What? How can a tiny mouse carry something as big as a house? Well, Vincent's house is magic. It expands and it shrinks according to need, and it is needed on the night that our story takes place. One dark evening, several animals approach Vincent seeking shelter. He kindly offers to feed and house every single one of them until a giant bear comes to the door. Will he fit? Will the other animals want to share their space? What if the bear tries to eat them? Do not fear. Everything works out in the end. Vincent's kind and inclusive nature ensures that everyone inside his house is safe and happy. But the sweet story is only one of the reasons that I wanted to talk about this book. Isabel Arsenault's illustrations are perfect, with the animals, even the bear, rendered in a sweet, non-threatening way. And there's a clever little cutout on each page, which enables the reader to see Vincent's house from the inside and out. This is a wonderful story for all ages. You will find this book in our Rhymes, Songs, and Tales picture book section.
All right, my second title is Marshmallow Clouds, two poets at play among figures of speech. And this title is a collaboration between two poets, Ted Kuser and Connie Wanek, and the illustrator is Richard Jones. So because being alive in 22 is rather stressful, I'm forever seeking any sort of actionable way to self-soothe. And this book took me by surprise when I first noticed it on the NPR Best Books of 22 list, 2022 list. So Jones's illustrations, as you can see here, are marvelous, and I especially love these magnificent scenes with this distinct horizon line that occur throughout the book. But I'm recommending this specifically to grown-ups as a picture book and a read aloud for two reasons. One, this book reminds us that any time spent sharing a book with a young child is deeply soothing to both them and you. And also two, reading this book reminded me that the concentration required when reading poetry is a really meaningful way to practice being present. So this is one of those picture books that's low-key a gift to yourself. So grown-ups, check this one out, Marshmallow Clouds.
My next book is That's Not My Name, written and illustrated by Anusha Syed. A young girl is excited to start school, but she runs into a problem. People just can't seem to pronounce her name. Schoolmates ask if they can call her something else, or just assign her a new name without asking at all because her name is too hard for them. She's too shy to correct anyone, so she is ready to just change her name so it'll be easier for everyone else. But her mom explains the meaning behind her name and why she should be proud of her name. Plus, her mom points out that if people can learn how to say Beethoven and Tchaikovsky, they can learn how to pronounce her name too, leading her to feel more confident in correcting people when they mispronounce her name. A wonderful, empowering story for all children searching for reassurance about their names and identity.
Noodle and the No Bones Day, written by Jonathan Graziano with cozy illustrations by Dan Tevis. This book has been published by Simon & Schuster. Suitable for every age, both children and adults, this book addresses the current generation problems of overscheduling, overworking, and burnout. The main characters in this book are Noodle, a 13-year-old pug, and Jonathan, Noodle's person. This duo has a busy schedule and productive routine that includes going on walks, seeing sights, sitting outside and saying hello to neighbors, sometimes barking at passers-by, and most importantly, munching on snacks. So what is a No Bones Day? I thought that Noodles did not like to chew on bones on those days. I was so wrong. No Bones Day means Noodles does not want to go on with his routine on that day. He is not sick. He is not sad. He just wants to take it easy and slow. You know, rest, relax, and recharge. Bones Day or No Bones Day, snacks, stay. Got me to thinking Noodle and I have a lot in common. Both of us love No Bones Days, and both of us love snacks. But what is not to be missed is the message the book gives to us. Be kind to yourself and prioritize self-care. Jonathan and Noodle are popular on TikTok, just in case you want to follow them. Thank you.
My next book is called A Spoonful of Frogs. As someone who reads hundreds of new picture books every year, I am thrilled when I'm treated to a truly original premise. A witch who hosts a televised cooking show and it's really funny? Yes, please. When we think of witches, we tend to think of the spookiness that comes with Halloween. But the witch in this story by Casey Lyle is more of the fairy tale variety. Actually, she is most like the beautiful witch Samantha Stevens from the television show Bewitched. The icing on the cake, or maybe that should be the bubbles on the cauldron, is this clever story is illustrated by one of my favorites, Vera Broxall, who also has written some excellent books herself, such as Leave Me Alone, which was awarded a Caldecott honor. This book is fun from start to finish, and the solution for when your ingredients are just too out of control is perfect.
My third book is a book that touches my soul. Published by Mine Edition, it's called Lujan Dreams of Sunflowers, a story inspired by Lujan El-Hathloul. This book starts out with the girl who dreams of flying. Immediately I was with her. Who doesn't want to fly? Soon you learn that in her world, people do get to fly. Boys and men can strap on wings and go wherever they want. But for girls and women, flying is forbidden. And so Lujan's fight for change begins. This book was written by two people, Lena El-Hathloul, who is the youngest sister of Lujan El-Hathloul, who went to jail for daring to speak out for women's rights to drive cars, which was illegal in Saudi Arabia. The second author, Uma Mishra Newberry, is a global social justice and women's rights leader, and she helped bring Lujan's story to the attention of the United Nations. This is a story with a message for everyone, from the very young to the very old. Believe that your voice matters. And do you believe you can fly? I know you will fly. Not immediately, but definitely.
Gibberish. This is my last book that I chose for this picture book party, and it is written and illustrated by Young Fo. It's recommended officially for 4 to 8 years, but I would recommend it for all ages, from 0 to 100 years, maybe 150 years. This book is magical. It's about a boy from another country that doesn't speak any English. The imaginative illustrations perfectly complement the story, and they're amazing. The illustrations start out as all gray except for Dat, the main character, and it's his first day of school in his new country. He only hears gibberish from everyone. Everyone is calling him the wrong name too. He looks realistic, and all the other characters are looking more like cartoons with exaggerated features. We see Dat make a friend finally, and they make a friend through coloring, which I see every day at my library, and Dat slowly starts to learn the language. We see more and more color and happiness in the pages as we progress through the book, and the other characters see more of this world than an alien planet. This book would be great for someone just moving to an English-speaking country, or someone who wants to befriend someone who is not a native speaker. It could help children understand what it's like to live somewhere that they could not understand the language and the customs. And for a special surprise, take a look at the beginning and end papers and try to figure that out. So this book will give you all the feels. I highly recommend it for everyone.
My final book is The Boy with Flowers in His Hair, written and illustrated by the British author, illustrator Jarvis. And I love this book so much, it feels like a warm hug. It's quiet and simple, but it has a big message that our friends will support us through tough times. David is the boy with the flowers in his hair. We are not told why or how the flowers got there. He just does. Everyone in his class likes David, especially his best friend, who tells the story. But one day, when David arrives at school, he's wearing a hat. When he removes it, his friends can see that his petals are falling off. We don't learn why his flowers are falling, and while some of his classmates are mad because David's bare branches poke them, his best friend jumps into action and makes paper flowers that he sticks on the branches. This leads to a gradual, over days, regrowth of the flowers in David's hair. His best friend's support never wavers, even as David works through whatever is causing his flowers to disappear. What a wonderful message for all kids, that we can go through difficult times and it's okay, but our friends and family can help us manage our feelings and get back to where we were.
My final book is I Am Quiet, a story for the introvert in all of us. It's written by Andy Powers and illustrated by Betsy Peterson. Have you ever read a book in which you see yourself? This is that book for me. A boy named Emil may look quiet on the outside, but inside he has an active imagination. This book affirms introversion and highlights the benefits of being quiet. The simple illustrations complement the tone of the book well. This is a great book for introverts and an excellent way to explain introversion to other people. The author's note in the back is worth reading as well, where she shares that both her and her daughter's experience of being introverted led her to write this book. Really, I think everyone could read this book. For kids, I would recommend it for ages 4 to 6.
I just love talking about books that work on multiple levels. And my third and final choice, Fiona the Fruit Bat, really exemplifies this. On the one hand, it tells a story through Fiona of being brave and persevering. But as this book is written by scientist and bat researcher Dan Riskin, there is also a whole lot of background knowledge about bats. Older science-minded readers will enjoy learning about the ways that bats use their voices to get around in the dark. Here's a hint. It all has to do with something called echolocation. But younger children will love the story of Fiona, a shy baby bat who is not quite ready to fly on her own. What I also love about this book is how much information you learn about bats. They are fascinating. Just like human babies, they start out drinking their mother's milk, but eventually move on to eating things like fruit and insects. And since they live in groups, they can tell which fruits are ready to eat by smelling each other's breath every time a member of their group returns to their cave. Little Fiona is at that stage. She's very hungry, but she refuses to let go and leave her cave and maybe miss out on her dinner. And that is another reason why Fiona's story is so wonderfully relatable. She is at an in-between stage of her life, but is scared to take that next step. Watching her solve her predicament on her own is a wonderful lesson in persistence. I would recommend this book for second grade readers and up.
Claire's other pick is The Blue Scarf. She writes, The Blue Scarf is a beautiful book written by Mohammed Danawi, published in October this year. The illustrator, Radhamana, showed us a mother and a daughter who live in their blue world. Mother gives her daughter a blue scarf that is taken by the wind. This begins a metaphor for the journey of refugees when the daughter sails around to different colored lands in search of her blue scarf. She finds many monochromatic lands without any blue. Finally, in a rainbow land, she finds her blue scarf. This rainbow land has a wonderful mix of colors, all woven together, staying bright and appreciating each other. I chose this book because I was happy to have something to read to my son to open the conversation about refugees and the cultural differences we have all around us. Find The Blue Scarf in the Growing Up picture book section at Arapahoe Libraries.
All right, my last pick is The Pigeon Will Ride the Roller Coaster, written and illustrated by the iconic Mo Willems. Mo Willems has that wonderful privilege of being a well-recognized author in his own time, and his books are really wonderful. They're more than often really excellent choices for story time. I will be controversial and admit that The Pigeon is not my favorite. I prefer to stan Gerald and Piggy. but this book had me laughing out loud when I picked it up on a whim at King Soopers the other day. And this got me thinking, my mom used to leave me and my siblings in the book aisle at places like King Soopers and Target while she shopped. And now I still almost always take a look at what they're selling. So I recommend The Pigeon Will Ride the Roller Coaster this year for reasons of accessibility. It reminded me that not all kids visit libraries, but most do go to places like Target, Walmart, or the grocery store. And I'm happy that picture books exist in these spaces. Snagging a copy at the grocery store also makes this a no-brainer gift for the holidays. And lastly, I'm not always confident how helpful the behavior of the pigeon is and what he's modeling, but he's being very patient and cute in this book, taking his turn, waiting for his first ever ride on a roller coaster.
My last book is Animals Move. Calves swim, hatchlings bounce, porcupets nibble, kittens pounce. Each page of this fun book, written by Jane Whittingham, features bright, colorful photos of a baby animal and a child in various types of movements. The photos are beautiful and diverse, and the large, easy-to-read font is full of great vocabulary, both for animal baby names and for movement-centered verbs. An excellent book for toddlers and preschoolers, especially active children, as they can move along with the animals and get their wiggles out. The book also includes a parent educator guide that talks about the best ways to use this book, focusing on developing the pillars of child development, emphasizing movements.
I'm not very afraid of being alone. Written by Anna Milbourne and illustrated by Sandra de la Prada, this book has been published by ACORN Publications and is suitable for ages 4 to 8. What caught my attention is on the cover page of the book is a note that says, with lots of little holes, star-shaped, flower-shaped, heart-shaped holes on all the pages. There are also laser-cut doorways and windows that connect one page to the other. The artwork is characterful and brings the home and family to life. This story addresses separation anxiety and childhood fears. The little girl in this book does not like being alone. She feels the world is so big and she is so small. This humorous, lovely story tells you that you are not really alone ever. There is an invisible thread made of love that feels warm and safe, and it connects us to our loved ones, no matter where they are. This feel-good book reminded me of a phase in my childhood when I followed my dad everywhere in the house. I remember me saying to my dad, "I will follow you wherever you go." And my dad very patiently looked at me and smiled and said, "Yes, we will always be with each other. Dad is in India and I am here in America, different continents and time zones, but always in each other's hearts, never too far away." And after becoming a mom myself, I understand this much better now.
Do you suppose she's a wildflower? Is what the daisy famously asks about Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. The daisy in Melanie Brown's book titled Wildflower also has questions about what makes up a garden and who is allowed to be there. After Rose calls her just a weed, Daisy starts to droop as she compares herself to the others planted nearby. She isn't sweet like strawberry, she isn't tall like sunflower, or make things taste extra good like sage. Maybe Rose is right. If she wasn't planted on purpose, she must be a weed. Then she meets friends like Sweet Pea and Dandelion. They help Daisy realize that she gets to define herself not as a weed, but as a wildflower, and there is enough sunshine for everyone to thrive. As if this book's underlying theme wasn't beautiful enough, Sarah Gillingham's illustrations are so lovely and vibrant, you'll find yourself sneaking under the fence like a blackberry vine to visit this garden again and again.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for listening to us talk about some of our favorite books this year. That's all the titles we have today, and we hope you like these books as much as we do. To sign up for story times and other programs, both in person and virtual, visit the events tab at arapahoelibraries.org. To check out all of our other virtual picture book party recordings, you can go to our ALD Live YouTube channel and check out the picture book party playlist. You can also find book lists, links to storytime videos, activity ideas, and lots of other resources at our 0 to 5 page under Browse the Library. We're all done for today, so thanks for watching. Bye-bye.